David Horowitz has released some information about the national fake news, the ones that are telling everybody else they're fake news. No, but it's the national news that's the fake news. And he's calling them out again, and I have to give some highlights to this. David Horowitz is saying that the national news is saying that Donald Trump has banned Muslims. It hasn't really been that way. I mean, Donald Trump very simply has issued a 90-day moratorium on people from other countries that are either in war zones or dominated by radical Islamic extremists or both from coming in for 90 days while he figures out how to vet them. He's got to undo all this junk that Obama did to put his buddies, the Muslims, the radical kind, into the United States, you know, as poor immigrant refugees. So 90 days is a reasonable amount of time, but the major media is not being reasonable about this. I mean, they're acting like he's banning all Muslims just arbitrarily. Instead of giving 100 examples, let me just give you one. What is the biggest Muslim country in the world? Indonesia. Almost population, well, almost half the United States population. Okay, up there, over 100,000. I don't know what it is, way up there. Indonesia. They're not on the list. Muslims from Indonesia could come in because generally speaking, Muslims from Indonesia are not blowing up World Trade Centers and things like that. Oh, of course, it makes a little too much sense, but, you know, I guess for the dumbing down of America and the young journalism students coming out of the liberal journalism schools, it's not surprising. They probably can't find Indonesia on the map, and if they do, they don't put two and two together that it's virtually all Muslim, and they're not blocked from coming to the United States. So why would the media be doing something like this? Why would they intentionally misrepresent all this stuff? To demonize Donald, of course, to make him look bad. Because the major media is to the left, or the left, or the left. Now, when I went to school, I learned about yellow journalism. As a kid, years ago, this makes yellow journalism look like the gospel truth. Give me a break. This is, I mean, the major media has taken off the gloves. They've taken off all pretense of being objective. Have you noticed? Don't you remember not long ago when they at least pretended to report the news? At least back then they were honest to goodness news fakers. Now they're not newsmakers. They're not news fakers. They're just blatant partisan lying jerks. Okay, what is it going to take for America to wake up and stop watching those guys? I don't know. Let's look at a little bit more about what David Horowitz has to say here. He's brilliant. Front Page Magazine founder. Look up Front Page Magazine on the web. It's good. So he's saying, what is the purpose of Donald Trump's moratorium? I mean, there must be method to the purported madness. It's to allow the Department of Homeland Security to develop a better vetting process to screen out potential terrorists. Makes sense to me. Does it make sense to you? Who on the right or left or center could object to that? But the news fakers do. And why is there a problem? Well, the executive order, according to Horowitz, points out that several successful terrorist attacks on Americans, including the 9/11 attacks, were carried out by so-called tourists who overstayed their visas or shouldn't have been allowed in the country in the first place, including the San Bernardino shooter. I mean, hey, let's call a spade here. So what will the consequences be of the attacks on the Donald's orders for the media? These consequences will actually be unintended because they're going to help President Trump. They don't know it yet, but listen to this. According to David Horowitz, by falsely reporting what the moratorium is all about, the major news media is actually forcing the public to confront President Trump's claim that radical Islamic terrorism is the problem. Let's repeat that, because you're not going to see it on ABC, NBC, or CBS. Radical Islamic terrorism is the problem. I'll take it a step further. Islam is a problem. Anybody who believes in Sharia law and believes in the core tenets of Islam, it's right there in writing. First you kill the Jew on Saturday, then you kill the Christian on Sunday. It's right there in the Hadith, the oral tradition. And they got hate all sorts of hate stuff in writing in the Quran. So, I mean, if you want to talk about hate speech, look no further than the Quran or the Hadith. Randomly, open them up, pick a number between 1 and 500, say, okay, this is the page I'm going to look at. Just randomly pick it. Open the page for most of you who've never read the Quran, and most shows in the liberal media probably never read it either. They have no clue what it says. But if you open up at random, it's going to be hate speech. I hate to tell you. Now, of course, they might take me off the air now for calling their hate speech, but that's a chance I'm going to take. Okay, what chance are you going to take? What are you going to do about it? Do a live streaming video like this? There's many better looking faces here, younger looking heads, less wrinkles, maybe browner hair, blacker hair, blonder hair. I don't want to be the face to do this forever. I like other people to step up. There's a number of people do it right now, but people who are not afraid to call it the way it is. Islamic terrorism, Islam, they're not friends of the United States. What's so hard to believe about that? Randomly read what they're writing. Oh, I know it's not comfortable to believe this. It won't make you popular with your friends to repeat it, but it's true. Do what you want to do with that truth.